Welcome, everyone. My name's Gail Chihak. I'm the Tribal Relations and Outreach Manager for the American Indian Alaska Native Tourism Association. Welcome to the Restarting Tourism Marketing in Indian Country workshop at the Wild Horse Resort at the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation in Pendleton, Oregon. As tourism opens to visitors, reaching out to them to let them know you are open becomes essential. This workshop will share ideas about how to market your cultural tourism efforts through website development and by maximizing audio and video throughout the marketing efforts. We will also have a session for you to share your ideas and find out what's happening in your area. Before we begin, I'd like to start with an invocation. Creator, thank you for bringing us together on this fine day. Help us, excuse me, to bring our hearts and our minds together to help work for our communities, protect our lands, our wildlife, and other resources. Thank you. Before we begin, I'd like to thank our partners in bringing this workshop to you, the National Park Service, Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail, Travel Oregon, and the Washington Tourism Alliance. To begin, I'd like to introduce Ayanta's CEO, Sherry Rupert. Sherry has nearly 2 decades of executive level experience managing and promoting Native American tourism. She was president of Ayanta's board of directors and was instrumental in working with Congress to pass the Native American Tourism and Improvement Visitor Experience Act. Sherry was formerly the executive director of the State of Nevada Indian Commission, where she reported directly to the governor of Nevada and served as liaison to the state's 27 tribes, bands, and colonies, and worked for the Nevada Indian Territory. Sherry, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Gail. Good morning, everybody. I'm so happy that you were able to join us here this morning. We are here for the Restarting Tourism Marketing in Indian Country workshop. So let's get started. Just wanted to share a little bit with you about Ayanta. We are the American Indian Alaska Native Tourism Association, and our mission is to define, introduce, grow, and sustain American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian tourism that honors traditions and values. We are a national Native nonprofit, 501c3. And a little bit about what we do here at Ayanta. But before I talk about that, I want to give you some context. Tourism in the United States is the primary driver for economic growth and job creation in the United States. In 2019, tourism and related activities generated $2.6 trillion for the US economy and supported 15.8 million jobs. Subsectors within tourism are also critical, with the outdoor recreation sector showing growth, even during the pandemic. The Bureau of Economic Analysis calculates the economic output of outdoor recreation to be $788 billion, surpassing industries such as mining, utilities, farming, and ranching, and chemical products manufacturing. Tourism to the rural and remote locations, including to Native nations and communities, are critical to the overall US economy. And according to the US Census in 2012, there were 67,248 American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian-owned hospitality-related businesses, reflecting 59% growth since 2007, with total receipts for American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian hospitality sector businesses in 2012, equaling $7.681 billion, and a 17% increase in paid employees in American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian hospitality businesses when compared to the 2007 data. As the US economy recovers from the pandemic in 2022, the hospitality tourism sector will be a crucial and significant driver for job growth and revenue as domestic travel continues to grow and international travelers return. Now is the time to make investments in sustainable cultural tourism infrastructure and initiatives in indigenous communities, address underlying inequities, strengthen the economic structures we all rely on, and build on sustainable practices. As noted, the American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian-owned hospitality sector business provides significant contributions to the economy and in providing jobs. Ayanta provides leadership in indigenous tourism through speaking engagements such as this one, and also through advocacy. Ayanta was instrumental in gathering support for the passage of the Native American Tourism and Improving Visitor Experience Act, or the NATIVE Act. When signed into law in 2016, the NATIVE Act was an unfunded mandate. Ayanta stepped up once again to successfully advocate for funds to implement the act. Partnerships, such as the partnership we have with the National Park Service and the BIA, are instrumental to the work that we do at Ayanta. Through strong relationships with our partners and stakeholders, we're able to move our mission forward. Since our founding, we've worked to grow our existing relationships while attracting new partners to support our work. And education and training are at the heart of our work here at Ayanta. We provide general and tailored education and technical assistance in a variety of ways, from Tourism 101 to the intricacies of international outreach. Our experienced team helps tribes and Native-owned businesses create tourism experiences that honor culture, tradition, and history. Our Tribal Relations and Outreach Department further the organization's goals in identifying and cultivating strategic partnerships. The department coordinates a targeted outreach program to tribal nations and Native-owned businesses while gathering essential information on tribal tourism efforts throughout the country. In addition to identifying and cultivating strategic partnerships, the new department is also responsible for growing the organization's membership base and increasing the content of and participation in Ayanta's consumer website, nativeamerica.travel. Our media department works hard to raise the profile of Indian country tourism, and in particular, our Ayanta members. We also have new visitor outreach department that fulfills the organization's goals in expanding awareness of Indigenous experiences and destinations with domestic and international visitors. In addition to identifying top consumer markets globally, the new department will also maintain and grow Ayanta's robust tourism trade appearance. So this table here is our overseas visitors to Indian country. I'm sorry, top international markets. And as you can see here in the purple, this is for 2019. And you can see that China remains one of the top markets for visitors to American Indian communities. There was a sharp drop in Chinese visitation in 2019, largely contributed to the overall decline in overseas visitation to American Indian communities. This decline in Chinese visitation reflects a larger nationwide trend, with overall leisure travelers from China to the US dropping by 10% from 2017 to 2018, with an additional decline from 2018 to the first half of 2019, and that was a 5% decline. So this is some visitor outreach data that we received from the National Travel and Tourism Office. And I'd like to point out the dramatic decline of travel and tourism exports in 2020 as well. It dropped 64% between 2019 and 2020 to $83 billion. In 2019, total travel and tourism exports totaled $233 billion, making travel the largest services exports, or 27% of all service exports. So visitation to Indian country is really important. This brings revenue into the tribes, and we're going to be building back from the pandemic. 2020 isn't on here yet, but I'm sure it's going to be a huge decline. So that's why we're here today, is to provide information to you to help you to restart and rebuild from the pandemic. So we're going to move on to the next remarks, and those are going to come from Dan Wiley. He is the Senior Leader, Resources Stewardship with Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail National Park Service. Dan, are you out there? You might be on mute, Dan.
Thank you, Sherry. That's a great introduction to tourism, and it's good to see those references to international tourism. That is a major component, and we get a lot of international tourism along the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail. The National Park Service administers the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail. That means we don't actually own any of it. We administer it. We're at the 35,000 foot level, where we influence those land managers and entities along the trail. And the trail is now from Pittsburgh all the way to the Pacific. It's 4,900 miles long, over 60 tribal homelands involved along the trail, 16 states, 6,000 plus miles of auto tour route that is designated. A lot of it is signed to help people know that they're on the Lewis and Clark Trail. Also, there's over almost 1,500 miles of water trails designated, nationally designated water trails. The purpose of the trail is to commemorate the 1803 to 1806 Lewis and Clark expedition through identification, protection, interpretation, public use, and enjoyment, and the preservation of historic, cultural, and natural resources associated with the expedition and its place in history in the U.S., as well as tribal history, of course. The trail has a history of providing platforms for tribal voices. And that's what this program is all about, providing a platform in Indian country for tourism, for the voices to be heard, for the experiences to be shared where you're willing to share these experiences. Back during the bicentennial, Gerard Baker was a great leader of the trail, superintendent at the time, and he had strong influence in involving tribal voices during the bicentennial. He helped to create and bring tribes to the circle of tribal advisors, and insisted that the 10 of many voices was open to tribes as well as other folks to uncensored communicate with regard to the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail. to say what they felt, what people felt. We have, they recorded some 1,700 clips of folks speaking the 10 of many voices. We have archived those, and we have made some of them publicly available through the Lewis and Clark Tribal Legacies website. We also are working to make all of them ultimately publicly available online. The trail has worked very hard to develop educational programming honoring tribal legacies, and we're happy to have the success with the development of those different educational curricula and the whole theory and practice of recognizing tribes and tribal ways in education. We also were involved in the publishing of Enough Good People. All of this is to let folks know that we are committed to the tribal voice along the Lewis and Clark Trail. We're very pleased to partner with Ayanta, and Sherry uses the term strategic partners. We definitely are strategic partners. The Lewis and Clark Trail went to Ayanta for representing the trail's efforts through the geotourism program, Lewis and Clark Travel, because Ayanta has such a great outreach and ability to communicate with tribes and to recognize the value of the work the trail has done in the past and the value of this website and the concept of geotourism or sustainable tourism, which brings me to that concept, which is about sustaining natural, cultural, recreational communities along the great waterways and the overland portions of the Lewis and Clark Trail. It is important to us that people recognize the value of the local cultures associated with the trail, and that people are aware of the experiential opportunities that people who never get a chance to go on the trail can go to the website and hear tribal voices, hear local restaurants and local activities, and be able to glean some sense of connection, as well as, of course, the website can be used for planning travel of all kinds, short-term, long-term travel, great distances, or weekend outings. We really want as much tribal involvement as the tribes are comfortable with on this website. I thank you folks for attending today, and I hope you have a wonderful experience and that it allows you to feel comfortable in sharing what's available in your locale for possible experiences and educational opportunities, recreational opportunities for traveling public. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate your comments. And we're really excited to be out here and meeting with the tribes along the Lewis and Clark Trail. We're going to now move on to Mr. Reddick, developing a successful cultural tourism website.
Thank you, Sherry. Very quickly, also, just wanted to thank, I know Gail had mentioned thanking our host, Travel Oregon. I also wanted to thank Washington Tourism Alliance and also the Wild Horse Casino for helping us today. I really appreciate your support. And I will go ahead and start with my presentation here. All right, my first presentation is developing a successful cultural tourism website. And travelers are beginning to hit the road now, of course, now more than ever. And Sherry and I are out here talking to a lot of the tribes, and we're seeing a lot of things begin to open up. Really appreciate all the people that have come to listen to our presentation today via Zoom. And the people that are attending physically. And it is a slow process, but it's really starting to ramp up fast. And we need to be prepared for travelers coming into the different areas and visitations. So now a strong website is so important to get your information out and to make sure that visitors know, have updated information as far as the status of your property or your enterprise. Sorry, a little technical glitch here.
Bruce, before you begin, would you mind
Yes.
introducing yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Gail. Good idea. I was kind of playing into that. My name is Bruce Reddick, of course, and I'm the Ayanta tribal content developer, and I'm going to kind of review what that actually curtails and what my duties are. But I'm working on the Lewis and Clark Travel project along with the outreach team for Ayanta. And of course, you know Sherry, she just did the introduction, but she's the main part of our outreach team. And I'm sorry. Sorry, technical problem here. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. We'll start over. Of course, the leader of our team and our outreach team is Sherry Rupert. And I'm very happy to be traveling with Sherry and reaching out to all the tribes along the Lewis and Clark Trail. Oh, sorry. There we go. There we go. And this is the rest of our outreach team. We have Gail Chihak. She's our tribal relations and outreach manager. And also Hannah Peterson is our program development director. And Lorraine Galo Lewis is our outreach specialist. And as I had mentioned, I'm the tribal content developer. And what is a tribal content developer? This, to give you a little background of my experience, I've owned and managed my own advertising and marketing agency for about 30 years. And 15 of those years, I pretty much primarily focused on tribal tourism. And I've been involved with Ayanta for about 7, 8 years now as a member, as an Ayanta member. And I attended the Ayanta AITC, American Indian Tourism Conference. And I attended 4 of those, and I also graduated from George Washington University, getting a certificate through Ayanta. So I'm very, very happy to be a part of the team and the outreach team. So my job is I produce written content to be put on 2 websites, lewisandclark.travel as well as nativeamerica.travel. And a lot of the content that I write we use in blog posts, social media, blurbs, itineraries, guidebook articles, and news releases. So when I start gathering the information from all the different tribes, they're passed on to our marketing team, which also promotes a lot of the different assets the tribes have to offer. The digital content that I gather includes photography and video. So I'm playing photographer and videographer as we're traveling, as well as writing and collecting information from the tribes. All the content that I collect is approved by the tribes before we post on the website pages. And as I mentioned, the Strong Tourism website, it's one of your most important marketing tools. It's the most accurate way to get information out to people and to travelers, and to accurately get it out there, and immediate, gives a sense of immediacy. And so we'll go over just what makes a good, strong, some of the important elements that go into making a good, strong website. We've all really visited really nicely designed sites, and when you go to that website, it really draws you in, it pulls you in, and you find the information very easily. It's easy to find what you're looking for, and it's attractive. It's designed very well. And we've all been to websites where you somewhat get lost, and you bounce out, and that's what we call the bounce rate, when you go to the first page and you just can't find what you're looking for. So for these tourism websites, you really want to try to determine how the person is going, or how the visitor is going to find you. There's some organizations, travel organizations, they'll actually have two websites. Ayanta has it, and so does Travel Oregon. Travel Oregon, they have the industry resource site, which is where people or marketing, tourism marketing people can find information to help them market their destination. Then you have your tourism site. So here's two examples. Travel Oregon has traveloregon.com, which is where the consumer goes. And then industry traveloregon.com is where where people, or where marketing professionals go to find tools to help market their destinations. The same with Washington Tourism Alliance. They have the same type of setup. I've worked for many years with Nevada Division on Tourism, and they also have two websites like this. So we'll be concentrating mostly on the tourism-driven type website. This one, you'll see, Explore Washington's Backyard, has really nice graphics, really large photo with the two children there. That's their tourism-driven site. Or if you just have one site, and that's fine also, what's very important is to make sure that when a visitor lands on your homepage, that they can find what they're looking for right away. Here's a good example from the Red Cliff Band. It has right up on top how to visit. It's outlined in red there, so you can really see exactly where to go and find information as a traveler. Here's the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation. When you look at this homepage, you can really see how nicely designed it is, how easy it is to find the information, to navigate through. The visitors always know exactly where they are on the website. When you look at the middle there in kind of teal color, there's a big button that says Learn More. And there's a really fine line between an interactive menu and one that's got annoying functionality, has annoying functionality. This one's very easy. When you look across the top banner, you can see all the different pages lined out, and it's just very attractive and very easy to navigate. Navigation is very important, of course. Visual design, you have really a quick time, like I was talking about the bounce rate. You only have about a tenth of a second to impress your visitor or potential customer. When people go to your website, they want to see if they found what they're looking for, and if it's going to entice them, and they can find all the information, travel information. And when you look at Discover Navajo, it has a very large, striking photo that just draws you in right away. And again, has a nice big arrow there that says start here. You can find your information very quickly and easily. So utilizing great graphics and great photography, again, it's getting that really strong content and emphasizing that. and not to go overboard with too many graphics. You don't want to overload them there when they get to your homepage. You really want to be able to just kind of draw them in, provide them the information, have that large impact when they first see it. Scrolling text and animation and flash intros, that used to be done quite a while back. We would recommend only using those very sparingly. So just have a nice, clean, and again, user-friendly look to it. Make sure that the web is also Mobi friendly. Most of the websites now are also on a database type system, WordPress or some platform similar to that. So they naturally will automatically reformat to whatever device you're using. When you look at the Sky City Cultural Center, you'll see how nice it looks on an iPhone or smartphone. And then you can see right next to it how it's formatted on a desktop. So make sure your website works on all browsers. The main browsers, of course, are Google and Safari and Firefox. So we always check them on all different browsers just to make sure that it's looking proper across all the different browsers. And test it on all different devices too, on a smart pad and iPhone. Even though they reformat automatically, oftentimes you have to go in and just do a little bit of tweaking on them. Use meta tags, alt tags, and work with someone that knows SEO. There's a lot of things you can do with your images and the content and putting in different tags and keywords that really help your search engine optimization. And what that is when somebody goes to search for your website on a browser, that your site will pop up on the first page or two. So that's what you really want to have your website be very visible. Not all visitors have time to peruse your whole site. Many only need a number or address or just very quick information. They're just looking for a point of contact. So make sure that the visitors can find what they're looking for pretty much right up front, that they don't have to dig down too deep. Of course, with COVID, it's good to have the COVID message, what status your location is at right now. If you look at the Temiskaming Cultural Institute, they give a lot of great information right up front, and it's very easy to navigate through their website. I also want to keep a sense of intuitiveness. What are the same questions that you feel like you're asked year after year from different visitors? Maybe have those frequently asked questions page so you address a lot of those. And website's a great place or a great outlet in order to address these questions, and people can find them. And if there's any cultural questions they have, a frequently asked question page helps out a lot. We deal with a lot of different powwows and powwow etiquette, and people aren't quite sure what the proper ways to attend or to take photographs. These pages are really helpful in conveying what is proper in attending different sites like that. Branding. This is something that's kind of a passion of mine. I have always, when I help different clients in the past, I've always tried to push consistency in everything they do as far as their marketing efforts. We've been visiting different tribally owned businesses throughout our tour here up in Oregon and Washington. And we went to Bison Coffee House the first day, and they do a very good job with all their branding and their signage and their menus. They all have the Bison Coffee House logo. The website is very consistent, consistent type styles, consistent colors. It just helps pull the branding all the way through. Brigham Fish Market is also a very good example of good branding. You'll see their logo on everything, and you'll see their sign, their sandwich board by their store there, and it has their logo on it. And everything that you see has the same colors and looks. So your website should be a reflection of your business and your brand, and when you're clients go and see your website and then see your property, they get it. They feel that familiarity. This is interaction. You really want to engage with your visitors right off the bat and hold their attention with every page. Influence them to contact you. You really would like to get more information and get to know who your potential visitors are and what they're looking for. So the level of interaction should never outweigh the benefit, though. You don't want it to be too overbearing, but you do like to try to engage your visitors as much as possible and really get to know them and have them get to know you. Just a little bit about conversion. This is what I was talking about as far as gathering information. If you can put in some type of form to help, maybe if you have a newsletter program, your website is potential gathering place for customer information and a good point of contact where you can stay in contact with your clients and have follow-up with them and keep a dialogue going. So newsletter sign up is very good. Entering to win contests, those work very well. Different downloads and information that you can provide, brochures, different webinars information. When you look at the Ayanta site, there's a lot of great information on there available for visitors. It keeps them coming back, and we keep adding more and more information as we go on, and try to ask feedback, try to get different opinions or ask how are we doing? How are we doing our jobs properly? Are we getting the information to you that you need? So that's something that's very important. And you can also look at is looking for more revenue as well. To provide customer tour programs, itineraries, those are very important. All these can be promoted on your website. Be Native Tours on the Chickasaw Nation, they have a very nice webpage that you can see everything that they offer. Custom built, one-day, multi-day itineraries. They just lay out everything they have, and it's all looks very custom as far as what they can offer. Or you can offer single or half-day programs. Great Spiritual Circle Trail does a great job up in Canada. You'll see their website. Again, very nice dramatic photo, and they have a lot of great ideas and different ways that visitors can interact with them as well. Okay, we'll move on to page content, and the bold buzzword ever since I've been web designing is content is king. And what that means is the more relevant content you can put onto a page, the better off you are in the rankings for browsers and search engines. So you want your visitors, when they come to your web page, to find what they're looking for, but you want to make sure it's good, relevant content, and just not loaded up with a lot of content that might not be what they're looking for. Here's the Yakima landing page, and this is very inviting. I like this because come, learn, enjoy the Yakima experience. It looks very inviting. When you get there, you know, visitors know they're welcome, and then it has the enter site. But you see up on top, it gives all the different navigation buttons, the cultural center, the museum, the gift shop, the restaurant, the theater, and the library. But just the landing page itself, it says, hey, we welcome you, come check us out. So that's very important. You want your homepage to be inviting. And content, of course, it goes back to the W's: who, what, where, when, and why. The content is a backbone of your site, and it's the main reason visitors come and to stay on your site. Again, talking about that bounce rate, you don't want them to bounce out right away. When they land on your website, you want them to find information very quickly. This is a nicely designed page for women tours, and vertical navigation that you see off to the left, that used to be very popular a while back, but most everybody's gone to the top horizontal navigation, but rules are made to be broken. And this is a good example of that. You can see it works very well with all the different colors and different bars, and a nice photo there to go along with it. So the text should be informative, easy to read and concise when you first land on a page. And content is the most important factor in SEO again. You don't want too much content, you want just good, relative strong content. And that's, again, a lot of my job is to help different tribes and tribal enterprises get that content onto their pages. This is a very nice page, great photo. Nez Pierce Tourism, she does a great job. It's engaging and entertaining. If you can try to get photos that have people and show interaction, get that human element. We all want to see the great, beautiful places that we want to visit, but we also want to see people having fun and have that nice human contact, which things are opening up now again. So that's very important. And people want to get out and they want to see socialize a little bit more. This is Stacia Morfin's business, and she just does a great job with all of her marketing for Nez Pierce Tourism. Celebrate your storytellers, and that's a big thing that my job too is I'm relating the tribal stories and what they have to, what they want to say and what their stories are. So bring these experiences to life, make it colorful, create lasting memories. Visitors want to hear, it's kind of like that local bent, you know, when they go someplace, they want to hear where the locals go. They want to know what is unique to that area. So make sure, and everybody in every community has their key storytellers. Make sure to celebrate those storytellers and talk about them and definitely play them up, your artists. Okay, and then a lot of course, with all these pages, you want to do, visitors want to know what they can do when they get there. And again, with the lockdown, people were kind of searching around a lot on the website. A lot of websites that I manage, I've noticed the traffic pick up a lot. People are really looking around, trying to see where they're going to go when things do open up, and they are opening up now. So the traffic is getting on websites and to tourist destinations are picking up dramatically, and it's going to move really very quickly. So make sure that you show very easily what there is to do. Will I be bored? Showcase all, or at least a lot of what you have to offer, one easy navigation location. So you want to really break it down easy for them so they can see exactly what they're looking for. They want and entice them, because they're going to be comparing your location or your enterprise to other enterprises. And so you want to stand out. You want to show what you have that's unique. And all of that is about community. People are always looking for more than one thing to do. They're looking at what type of community they're going to visit. Give them plenty of reasons to show that you're a little bit different in what your community is all about. We really strongly emphasize itineraries, and we're building itineraries on nativeamerica.travel as much as we can right now. And it's a great way to showcase the what. Okay, what is there and what can I do? I know when I did a lot of marketing for Nevada, people were always wondering, what can I do in one day? What can I do in 2 days? Or what if I only have a couple hours and I'm driving through? If you can set up these itineraries, it's just a great way to help entice visitors and let them know what's out there and what there is to offer. Hopefully you can do like Navajo, the cultural tour. They've got a couple different day programs. You hopefully you can get people to stay more than 1 or 2 days, and that way they can stay at some of your lodging. Maps are great also. People want to know exactly where they're going, and I think most all my past clients, they've always wanted to have a good interactive, strong map. If you visit nativeamerica.travel, you'll notice that we have a very strong interactive map. Some maps can be very hard to navigate and frustrating for people, and they'll bounce out right away. So keep it simple, easy for people to use, good usability. If you look at these two maps on pineridgechamber.com, it's very simple, easy to get around. You can find things. When you click on different items, it can give you more information. It has photos, just good, strong content. And Visit Your Country is a very nice, clean, well graphic design site, and it shows, it's always good to show proximity to major national parks and other items of interest or other destinations of interest. So that's another thing that you should consider. Proximity to major international airports. Where can I land? How do I get there? How do I travel in? All those are questions that potential travelers have. So if you can put that information on as well, that's a great idea. This is Humboldt, California's Redwood Coast. That gets a huge amount of visitations every summer. People come from all over, the international visitor. Always keep in mind that people are coming in from long distances, not just hundreds of miles, but thousands of miles. So how do I get there? Very important. What best time to visit? 4 Seasons of Adventure. This is a great page by the Red Cliff Band, and it kind of breaks down what there is to do in each season. And this is really important in some locations that have inclement weather, like during the winter times when it's hard to get around. Okay, do you promote certain events? And if so, where and what is there to do? So this is a good thing to think about when you're laying out these pages as well. The most important thing, of course, is the why. Why do I come? Why do I want to visit? And first, we're going to just kind of take a look at why people are traveling. Of course, they travel, they want to avoid burnout. Right now, of course, they want to get out because they've been locked up for a long time. So they want to travel with family and friends. They want to go on holidays and visit family. They're looking at travel discounts. There's just so many reasons that people just want to get out there now. And of course, there's a lot of motivations depending on what region they're in. We're always looking at travel will probably open up fairly close travel, regional travel, and then kind of expand out from there. And I think my personal feeling is the international travel market's going to ramp up really fast. So you need to be prepared for that. But understand why people want to travel and try to meet those needs. Most travel trends right now, people want to come back with a story. They want a learning experience. They want to come back and tell their friends, oh, you won't believe what I learned. So it's not your typical traveler that it was maybe 10 or 20 years ago. People really want that experience. They want that true involvement into a culture or into a destination. So you really want to make it as adventurous and escaping as possible and stress-free. When we're talking about why, of course, why Wyoming, they played off that tagline quite a bit. It's perfect. That's why. So many ways to celebrate the distinctive nature of Wyoming. There's the cuisine and the people, powwows and culture. They get the tribal aspect, the scenery, fun, history, learning, language, hands-on activities. But they played off the whole tagline of why to travel and travel in Wyoming. They did a very good job with that. Website development. I was a website designer for many years, and in planning and designing and updating websites takes a lot of time. People don't realize it. It's not a complicated process, but it's very involved and it takes a lot of time. So if you don't have a website, or if you're planning on redesigning, just understand that it takes a little bit of time to get it up and going and to get it dialed in. So if it isn't operational, if it's not functioning properly, it's not going to bring in the business. So make sure that your website is up to speed. Even if you don't have a robust website with a lot of pages, just put up something that's very clean. When you look at this by Opeak Adventures, it's very very simple as welcome, about us, services, and a contact page, but it gives all the information it needs, and it functions the way it needs to function. So if you can get the basics up as soon as you can, and then you can always expand your website. As I mentioned, most websites now are built on WordPress or similar platform, so they're very easily expandable. You can add on to them, you can refresh them, but it's best to try to find a professional that can kind of work with you and go through the process as you go along. Big one, don't forget artists and artisans. There's so much culture out here, and Sherry and I have been going around and visiting the different museums, and just it's so rich, and there's so much to see, and the artists they say so much about your culture. Make sure that you try to promote them on your website as much as possible as well. Here's Crow Shadow Institute of Arts. They have a very nice, clean look on their website, promoting Native art, and it celebrates the creative side of their culture. And they encourage your customers to visit your community. People love going to different art venues, and again, they can learn more about your culture, because it tells the art, the tribal story is told through artists. Here's some basic website information for arts and artisans. Your customers want a relationship with you. I remember when I went down many years ago, down to the Grand Canyon, and I was looking for gifts for my children and family, and I came across a gift shop, and all the artist artwork there had little bios from each artist that made that piece. And I remember how special that was. So you really want to make sure that you have a connection, or the people that are looking at your artwork have a connection to the artist. Looking at a good website up here in the Pacific Northwest is Lillian Pitts. A lot of people are very familiar with Lillian's work. She does beautiful outdoor installations, and her website has nice, vivid photography. It shows tells about the locations, and it tells, most importantly, it tells the thought process behind each of her pieces. And sometimes artists have a hard time marketing themselves. So just make sure that you have a good website, either help your artist out or give them information of how to build a website, and have all the contact information and information on upcoming appearances, an events calendar. If you have a lot of artists in your area that might not have websites, if you put up a nice, robust art calendar on your website, you can highlight all these artists, and people can see when and where to go to see their art. So that's a little bit about building a cultural website, and though we might have some questions a little bit later. I saw some questions come in and more people coming in, so we appreciate that. I'm actually next up on the agenda. So.
I was just going to give you just a little few seconds break here, Bruce. He is going to do the next session, but I just wanted to remind everybody to go ahead and put your name and your organization you're with in the chat. I saw a few coming through from, let's see, Rilda and Jeremy and Irene. And oh, I see Andrea just sent something in as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Okay, did you breathe, Bruce?
I think so.
Okay, all right. Bruce is going to now talk about marketing your attractions through NativeAmerica.travel and LewisandClark.travel.
Yeah, again, as I mentioned before, my job is to help tribal enterprises and tribally owned businesses post their pages on two websites, NativeAmerica.travel and LewisandClark.travel. NativeAmerica.travel is the tourism site for Ayanta, and LewisandClark.travel, as Dan had mentioned, is the new website that's going up through the National Park Service, and we're in partnership with the National Park Service, Ayanta is, along with Solomar International. And it's a geotourism driven site, which means they want to highlight a lot of the businesses that are along the Lewis and Clark Trail today, what the tribes have to offer, what different attractions there are to see today along the Lewis and Clark Trail. So I'll go through each website so you can kind of get a feel for the direction of each one. Again, NativeAmerica.travel, it's Ayanta site, tourism site, and it's Indian country's first destination website. And the goal is to offer travelers inspiration while reflecting the compelling stories of Indian country. Every tribe is listed on this website, but not every tribe has descriptions yet, and that's what we're working towards, is getting the tribes involved with this website. Here's one of the pages from Navajo Nation. Again, every tribe is listed, and every tribe has a point of contact on the virtual map as well. This one has a lot of nice content. Welcome to Navajo Nation. They've written a nice overview and added some very beautiful photos. Very engaging. We also have a location up in the masthead for the tribal logo as well. So it's a very nice, clean look. They can go directly to the Navajo Nation website over here. It has a hot link. It has all the contact information, email, phone number, and again, the map. Here's Salmon King Fisheries, where we ate just a couple days ago. We promote, of course, tribal enterprises, and tribally owned businesses are listed. So no matter how big or small, if we can promote your tribally owned business on NativeAmerica.travel, and this is where I can help out a lot as well. With small businesses, we know you're wearing a lot of hats. Owners are wearing a lot of hats, and it's hard to get time to promote yourself, and much less get a web page up. So I can help you with that. All I need to know is the basic things that you sell, the basic things that you want to promote, and I can help you write that listing and get people directed over to your businesses. We also have many museum and cultural sites listed on NativeAmerica.travel. Here's a museum at Warm Springs, another fantastic site. And it has all their information and a nice overview. We visited that earlier in our trip. It was just a beautiful museum, and just again, the only thing I need is photography. If I'm out on the road and I'm visiting these different locations, I can take a lot of this photography. But if the museum or cultural site has their photos, they can send them to me. We also promote historic and cultural sites. Here's the confluence at Cape Disappointment State Park. That was one of our first stops on our tour here this week, and it was just so beautiful out there. And I hadn't been out there since the lockdown last year. We weren't able to travel, and I was always looking at these beautiful photos of the location, and actually got to go out there and visit it. So I felt as though I was being the visitor, the tourist, to where I went and learned a lot about Cape Disappointment from the confluence people, and then had the opportunity to go out and actually see it in person, and it was just beautiful. Events and powwows. This is a Stewart Father's Day powwow. This is one I've attended many years, and it's just a great powwow that brings a lot of the tribal members together. It happens every year. Unfortunately, the last couple of years haven't been able to have it because of the shutdown, but next year they're planning to have it again. And all the information is here, of course, with a link to their website for updates. And so any type of events that are culturally, tribally related can go on NativeAmerica.travel and go on our calendar. And again, we promote it out in a lot of different marketing efforts. So make sure you get us your event information. This is all free. This is a free resource to where we can get your information out for you. And again, the artisans. Here's the Northwest Native Expressions Art Gallery, and we promote artists and artisans throughout the website very much, as much as we can. So any artists out there that don't have a website, or art galleries that might not have a website, send us your information and we'll give you a presence on the web. The site, NativeAmerica.travel, it covers 12 different regions. Here are all the different regions. You see the Northwest, California, Great Basin, Rocky Mountains, Southwest, Great Plains, Southern Plains, Midwest, Southwest, Northwest, and Hawaii and Alaska. And each of these regions, the website is broken up into these regions, so information can be found very easily. Here's an example of the Northwest, and when you go to the map, you'll see Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and you can click on a bar on that page, and it brings you to the Northwest experiences on the map. And here's the map of the Northwest. And when you see this, this is a very nice, robust map, but it's also very easy and very user-friendly. When you look over to the left, you'll notice the different buttons. It has experiences, attractions, accommodations, and tribes. You can click those buttons on or off in order to see things the way you want to. If you want to see just the tribes, you can click off all the buttons and view just the tribes. And then underneath each of these buttons, it's kind of broken down. When you look at the experiences, it has arts and culture, history, outdoor adventure, family fun, shopping, and agritourism. So everything's filtered out. It has a very nice filtering system, and it really is a good user experience. People can find the information they're looking for very easily. And here's a good example of itineraries. I know I talked a little bit about itineraries. Again, I believe it's something that really could be developed a lot in Indian country. We've talked with a couple tribes along the way, and how you might be able to partner with some other regions or other tribes even, and put together these different trips. Here's a trip for the Pacific Northwest tour. And this is just part one. There's two parts on this particular tour, but it really shows you how you can lay out a whole itinerary and driving scheme to visit all these different areas. Also featured on NativeAmerica.travel is a booking widget, Fair Harbor. So if you would like to get set up, we can help you kind of guide you to how to get set up on Fair Harbor and have a different booking system. I know that's been asked by several tribes, how do I do that? So we can provide some information on that as well, and that's a great asset. Now there's two ways to create a page. You can add your tribe, accommodation, or attraction. There's a link at the bottom of the page, and you can click on that link. It's on any of the pages, and once you open that up, it'll ask you to register. And once as a registrant, you can have your own account, and that way you can always update your page on the fly. Whenever you have an update, you just log in and you make whatever changes needed or additions. If you have an event coming up, you can plug that in. If you have new photography, you can switch the photography out. So it's very easy to manage your own page, and that way you have control of it too. You can control your own story and control your own information. Or you can contact me, and that's pretty easy to do as well. You can just simply email me, and we can set up an appointment. You can send me all your information, and I can get it on a page for you to review before we go live with it. And we also have a form that you can submit, and on NativeAmerica.travel to contact us. Just go to the contact page and put in a request that you want to go ahead and have a page built by us. Okay, now I'll talk a little bit about LewisandClark.travel. As mentioned, Ayanta is working alongside the National Park Service on this new program, and we're really excited about it. It's to market tribal attractions along the Lewis and Clark Historic Trail, and as I had mentioned, it's a geotourism focused site. But it also, it's building on a previous program with the bicentennial that took place 2003, 2006. Enough Good People booklet was produced, and it was took in the circle of tribal advisors were all involved with it, and many of the tribes got involved with the bicentennial and were able to tell their story. So it's pretty much building off of that. Here's the page from that book, Enough Good People. And also, as I had mentioned, our outreach manager, Gail Chihak, she had written a book a couple of years ago, Native Peoples of the Northwest. So we've been there's been work done for these tribes along the Lewis and Clark Trail and in this area, specifically the Pacific Northwest. So even though it is a new project, the Lewis and Clark, it's building up a foundation that's already been established and that the tribes have already started to become involved with. And that's really important, of course. Lewis and Clark mission included building a relationship with the tribes they met along the trail. You know, not all the history is positive history, and that's why it's so important that the tribes are able to get their story out there and how their relationship with this expedition is told. Tribal stories of Lewis and Clark and their expedition, the importance today, of course, Sacagawea, there's so many rich stories, and there was so many guides and help by the tribes along the trail to help Lewis and Clark. And again, this project helps kind of touch upon that history in addition to showing a lot of the geotourism assets that the trail offers. Here's the home page of the site, the lewisandclark.travel site. And you'll notice it's building. This screenshot might have been taken a while back. I think it's a little bit more now, but they have a count of Indian reservations. There's a pull down when you go to places to go to the navigation, places to go, and it drops down. It has tribal locations listed on there. So it's very nice, very nicely designed website, very nice and clean. The map, again, people want maps. This is a great map. And this really outlines and identifies all the different tribes along the trail. And our job, of course, is to work with tribal contacts in order to tell their stories accurately. Again, we don't post anything or build any pages without tribal approval. That's where we need the tribe's help and input on this so we can help get their story put on there. And here's the landing page. It's on lewisandclark.travel. It has a video of Sherry and explaining the project, as she so eloquently does. And it has a lot of information, again, the map. It talks about the relevance of the tribes to the Lewis and Clark Trail. So this site has really given a good window into the tribal story. And they really want to emphasize and have the tribes participate in this program. It's very important. We have the branding, came up with a logo, Experience Native America along the trail, overview copy and video introduction on this page. So if you haven't visited the website yet, take a look at it. Here's the map and again, the Enough Good People booklet that you can download, and that's the logo, Experience Native America along the trail. Once you get in and there's the different, at the bottom of the page, you'll notice that there's featured tribal destinations, and those rotate. So as we begin to accumulate more and more listings, these bottom two highlighted destinations will rotate on a constant basis. So the next steps, in order to be listed on lewisandclark.travel, there's a nomination process. So you can go to the page or go to the website and again open up an account and nominate your tribe, or if you need help, I can help you with that as well. You can email me, and again, get your information to me, and I can start building a page and submit it to lewisandclark.travel. So the next steps, just send in your information, and it can be a rough outline. It doesn't have to be meticulously written. It can be in a draft form, or if you want to want me to follow up with a phone call, we can discuss what type of story you would like to tell. The main thing is what's unique and what's special. We always talk about where we're from. I know lots of times you get used to all the different things that you have in your surroundings, and you take it almost for granted, not really for granted, but you kind of overlook it. When we look at it with fresh eyes, there's a lot of things that you might not think are great assets that would draw visitors that we can see and help you kind of promote that, and things that you don't want promoted. We can kind of kind of somewhat protect those as well. So it's good if you can maybe, if I'm going to be out your way and taking photography, if you could maybe draft a possible photography shoot list, or if you have a local photographer that can help out. It's really important to get that really those stunning images that you can use on your site. And just let us know what you want to highlight. I did write a tip sheet also, and that can be downloaded at at ayanta.org. We have information there, but it tells how you can write your own listing or submitting copy, and it tells how and what format to submit photography. So that's very helpful, and I think that helps out a lot with submitting to both websites. And I think that's it with my website presentations.
Great. Stop sharing. Well, thank you, Bruce. We appreciate that. He does have one more presentation this morning, but we're going to give him a break. And I think we're going to actually go to a break here in just a minute. Gail has informed me that Mike Moe is on with us today, and he's from the Washington Tourism Alliance. And Mike, do you have a minute to talk to us about the Alliance?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate being included in this. And just to give you an update on the Washington Tourism Alliance, in 2011, our state closed the tourism office, unfortunately. And so whereas Oregon invested more and more money in Travel Oregon and did an amazing job of promoting their state, we did not have a tourism office in our state for many years. The Washington Tourism Alliance started out as an advocacy organization, and it took us 8 years to pass legislation to reestablish a statewide tourism marketing effort. But now we have one, but we're building our DMO, or Destination Marketing Organization, from scratch. And so we're very excited to be a part of this sort of opportunity. We are redoing our experiencewa.com website. We're rebranding Washington State. And so just like the presentation just now with Bruce, we're redoing our site and trying to make it as interactive as possible. And we're always looking for respectful ways to share, the Native American story from Washington. It's such an important part of our story. And so, if you would like to work with us on that, we would be more than happy to help have you help us share that story. So thank you so much again for having us, and we're really looking forward to working with you all.
Great. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate that. And we do look forward to working with you to make sure that tribes are included in the marketing for the state of Washington. So we've done really well on our time, and so we're going to take a break here, and we're going to come back at 10 a.m. So if you guys want to take a break, you can put us on pause here. You can stop your video. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started this afternoon, or actually it's morning still. So if everybody would come on back, that would be appreciated. We're going to go ahead and have Bruce provide a presentation on using audio and video for tours and promotions. We're out on this visit in the Pacific Northwest this week, and then next week over into Idaho and Montana. And a big part of what we're doing as well is collecting photos of the tribal lands and activities, as well as some video. It's very important. I think that, you know, we've moved into this virtual world, kind of thrown into it because of COVID-19, and it's so important. And so Bruce is going to go over that for us today. So take it away, Bruce.
Thanks, Sherry. All right, I'm back one more time. Thanks everybody for coming back in. It looks like we had a lot of good questions too. There was some requests, and we're going to go ahead and fill those at the end with the question and answers and input. There was a request for the link to the tip sheet, so I'll put that down in the chat as well. All right, yeah, this last presentation is about using audio and video for tours and promotions. And with online video usage, it's dramatically increasing. When I first started designing websites, the pages that were most visited usually were the photography pages. People love to see visuals. They want to see where they're going, what they're going to see. So typically, the most traffic always went to the photography gallery pages. Now, with the wider broadband, we're able to stream videos, we're able to offer video imagery right on the home page, and people just really love video clips. So it's just kind of blown up. Here's a demand for video content. This is by a company that does online sales. They ran a lot of different stats. Internet users everywhere enjoy video content. 85% of all internet users in the United States watched online video content monthly on their devices. And that's been another reason for the explosion too, is of course the smartphones. Everybody can go on their smartphone and just view any video they want. So that the increase of views on smartphones has gone up quite a bit. The demand for video content is increasing. 54% of consumers want to see more video content from a brand or business they support. And online video provides potential visitors a taste of what you have to offer. It kind of gives them a little glimpse into what they can see and do and hear and there you go. Thank you, Bianca.
We're standing at the Bison Coffee House in Portland, Oregon. I wanted to be a coffee house that serves native roasters. And so when I first opened, there wasn't very many that roasted their own on reservations. And because I feel like we've been colonized off of for so long, I wanted to be able to give back and give them a place where they could serve their coffees. I have 3 different native roasters that I do carry. One out of New York, which is our Native Coffee Traders. One is out of Sparks, Nevada, which is our Star Village, and Spirit Mountain, which is on the border of California and Arizona. With Spirit Mountain, we created the blend, which is the MMIP, the Missing Murdered Indigenous People. We just did that one in December of 2019. So we have a range from dark, light, and medium. We also do our own baking here, so we do have pastries that you can get with your coffees. See, I worked in coffee for quite a few years before I decided to open my own coffee house. Prior to that, I was going to school to be a dental lab technician, and I found out I was sick because I was a stage 4B cancer. So I went back to my reservation and went for treatment. While I was sick, I had this dream of this really big bison, and he kept trying to get close to me. And every time I would go away, it was like he was drawing me back to him. And so I kept coming back, and then he would be closer, and then I would go away again, and then I would come back, and he was closer until he was like face to face with me. And then when I woke up, I kind of laughed because I was like, what would a bison be doing in the city? When I came back here, it was just like, I just felt like I needed to be the bison something. And I just was like, I needed to be a coffee house, not a coffee shop or a cafe. I felt like I wanted to be a coffee house, just more than coffee, and be able to give Native people from all over the United States, if they eventually start roasting their own, give them a platform, give them a place where other Natives can come and purchase their coffee.
Well, the Bison Coffee Shop is my neighborhood coffee shop, so I like to come here on the daily and get my coffee. The common coffee experience here in Portland is oftentimes kind of characterized by a kind of sort of slick kind of look, maybe kind of a high dollar kind of environment or what have you. You know, the Bison, I feel like, really kind of has more of a homey kind of vibe, and I think that's part of the big reason why people come here.
I love having my family around me. My daughter works with me, so she's my manager, and my little brother works for me. My nephew works for me. A couple part-time employees. My mother is also, she works for me. She's my accountant. I think having my own coffee house and representing Natives in a positive light gives our people a place where they can come and be proud. Eventually, we are going to roast our own coffee, and we would like to take it on the road to the different reservations on the Powwow Trail.
Yeah, so I really enjoy that video just because of the story it tells, and it positions her business apart from so many other coffee shops. There's so many coffee shops in Portland and Seattle, of course, but this really gives it that unique point of difference that you look for when you're trying to establish a business like that, and the whole connection to the tribes and using only tribally grown coffee beans is just, I think, a great testament. I see, here's Icy Strait Point, which is up in the southern part of Alaska, and it's tribally owned, and they've done a really good job marketing. And a lot of times when we're off traveling around, we'll talk to different tribes who are way out in rural destinations, and it's like, well, we're so remote, you know, how do we get people out here? And Icy Strait Point isn't easy to get to. They do have cruise ships that go out there, and there's some other ways to get out there, but it's they built such a great product that it draws a lot of people. Here's their website, again, kind of flashing back to these website presentations earlier. You can see how much Icy Strait has to offer. They put a zip line in, which is something really unique. They've got a whale watching cruise, which of course is always really popular, wildlife bear search, active adventures, ATV and Jeep expeditions. They just have a lot to offer, and they show it right on their website. And their videos are short. I'm going to show 3 video clips. They're 2 minutes each, and they kind of give a great overview of what Icy Strait has to offer.
This is great. This is great. When you walk up that gangway and the first people you see and all of your guides all day, they're telling you firsthand because they live here.
When we developed the area, and more so the site, the buildings, we had a lot of input from our elders, because this place has a special place in the heart of the community.
They come here looking for something. All the people who come here leave here very satisfied with what they experience.
We do guarantee our whale watch, and we've seen multiple pods of whales every single time. So because it's a natural feeding ground for whales, the sightings are spectacular.
I thank the people who saw the importance of a place like Isis Strait Point.
These are obviously very polished, produced videos.
This is great. This is great. When you walk up that
The Tribal Dance and Cultural Legends is an hour long. It features a new story this year, which is the strongman story. In the show, they would learn several different things of our culture, the introductions, how to introduce yourself, the different clans and tribes that we have, the regalia. Passing out the postcards at the beginning has a clan on it, and everybody gets to be that clan for the day or for the show. When we do the song and introduce a certain clan, if you have that on your card, then you stand up and dance with everybody. And then at the end, they invite everybody to come down to the stage and dance, and we have regalia set aside for that. You get to experience what we are, our culture here in Huna, the Tlingit culture.
One last one. Oops, sorry.
The tribal dance. The Zip Rider.
First opened in 2007, and we've just cleared 40,000 people. We are the only zip rider with 6 cables side by side.
It's not only the thrill and the excitement of the speed of the ride, it's the view.
Feels like you're floating. Feels like you're floating on your way down. The biggest reaction is they're surprised that it's not as scary as they thought it was going to be.
I have several people that come to the fish house and they want to go again. It's an experience of a lifetime.
Yeah, what I was going to say is these, of course, are very polished videos, but they really do tell the story of what the property has to offer and the tribe has to offer. I like the juxtaposition of the cultural video against the zip line. It's just kind of a neat comparison, and also that with the zip line, that they have the nice graphics pop in showing the height and everything, and just little touches like that make this video really nice. And we'll talk a little bit later, but not all videos, of course, need to be as polished as this, but I thought they told a really good story. Another thing is audio. People sometimes often might overlook audio, but there's so many instances where audio works better than video in telling stories and storytelling and in podcasts and downloads. And we have done some work for Stewart Indian School, Cultural Center and Museum. Sherry can tell you a lot more background on this project than I can. She was very involved with it. But the Stewart Indian School is in Carson City, Nevada, and many of the buildings were empty, and they were able to make the main building the cultural center, and it's just beautiful. These buildings are made out of stones that tribal builders had actually built these buildings, and this is also where the Stewart Powwow is held. And this website we had built a while back. It's very clean and really helps in telling the story of Stewart Indian School, the good and the bad stories. And one page we have on here is has podcasts, and you can listen to the stories by the students who actually attended the school and each building. So when you walk down this trail, there's a map online that you can see where to walk. And when you walk through and look at the number which is placed on each building, you can plug that in to your cell phone, and you can hear the story of the school. And it's very powerful. And you can actually download it as well. You can download it and have it on your smartphone. So when you get there, you can listen to it. But here's one of the stories I thought, one of the more engaging stories.
I came to Stewart in 1959 on a bus on Wap Indian Reservation. It was my first time away from the reservation, and I was 12 years old. I was at Stewart from 1959 to 1965. Upon arrival, I was checked in at the dorm and checked for bugs and sores in the lavatory, as they called it back then. I was then taken to my room and assigned a room. I was number 2 and had to use this number for roll call for lining up to march to the dining hall for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I remember as a little girl marching to the dining room, the bigger girls would call us termites. I'm not sure why. Maybe because we had to march in a line. They would say, "Here comes the termites, here comes the termites." Even my bed and dresser had the number 2 on it. I remember that the beds were in a hallway and our belongings were in our dorm room, which was shared with 3 other girls. Before we lined up to go to breakfast, we had to have our morning duties done. The beds had to be fixed just so. Our clothing and our dresses had to be folded just right, and our trash cans always emptied. If they weren't, depending on the matron, the beds would be stripped during breakfast and we would have to refix the beds. If the trash wasn't emptied, the matron would turn over the trash can and we would have to pick it up and empty it. We weren't allowed to have fruit in the girls' dorm, but we would sneak food into the dorm by having one girl distract the matron, Miss Morgan. And then one of the other girls would roll the food across the floor underneath her. That's how we got the fruit in. There were many rules and regulations in the little girls' dormitory, but I love my time in Stewart. I loved it here. Stewart has a lot to do with who I am today. I was not forced to attend Stewart. I was asked by my mother. I thank her because it showed me responsibility, respect, and who I really am, an Indian. And I really love Stewart.
Yeah, to hear the story actually told by a student, it's just so very powerful. And there's so many of these on this page. If you have a chance, you should visit it and download some of these and listen to the stories. They give a good encapsulation of everything that had gone on at the school. Oh, great. Thank you. And when interviewing, you know, there's a lot of different ways to interview, but I think the best way I like to is just let the speaker tell their story. Let them speak as naturally as possible, like you just heard from the Stewart audio clip. Once they get on there, I know Sherry had interviewed all these speakers right over the phone, and once they started to talk and speak and got comfortable, it was just natural storytelling. And I think that's the most powerful and the most authentic. If you can just allow the speaker just to tell their story in their own words in a very comfortable setting, that seems to work the best. Just a word to feature, once you get video and audio content, where do you feature? Where do you put it onto? How do you get it out there to the people? You know, we build all these marketing tools, and then it's like, okay, now what do we do with them? Well, there's a number of ways to get the video and audio into different areas. Here's a website by the Confluence, and they have a whole library of different podcast, and Antone, Minthorn, who's in our audience today. There's one on Legacy Maker Virtual Gathering. There's just a whole library of all these different streaming that you can listen to. So they do a really good job at organizing them. And again, that is kind of in website design, having it very intuitive and very user-friendly, where the viewer can find things very easily. And just one stat, viewers retain 95% of the message when they watch it on video, compared to 10% when reading it in text. So people really retain what they see in video, the imagery, and hearing the voices. It really resonates. Social media, of course, is the big one. Consumers love seeing video on social media. Social video generates 1,200% more shares than text and image content combined. That's huge. So, you know, social media efforts with Ayanta, we're always trying to get video on our social media whenever possible. Consumers just love seeing it. And these could be very short clips. And that's what I was going to mention also. We looked at some of those really nice produced videos. They don't all need to be like that. Little clips, little 1-minute clips. In fact, I'm working with the Nevada Indian Territory now. We're going to develop some 1-minute clips just by handheld iPhone type clips. People love, again, authenticity. They want to see what is the real deal when you're out there. So if you have tribal members with their smartphones taking clips of certain aspects of their area, those are great to post on social media. People love that. It's again, that authenticity. The big social media networks to post on is YouTube, of course, and Facebook and Instagram. YouTube is the most popular video sharing platform. Vimeo is also big too. A couple of those videos I showed you were on Vimeo. But YouTube has a big, huge reach. Facebook, of course, is number 2. And then Instagram, lately, I've noticed a lot of pickup in video on Instagram. It used to be just mostly still photos, but now a lot of videos being posted on Instagram. And here's a growing share of Americans say they use YouTube. Facebook remains the most widely used online. This kind of supports that whole thing. When you see the percent of U.S. adults who say they ever use different networks, YouTube is right up on top, and Facebook and Instagram 1, 2, 3, and then it kind of plays down from there. There's a couple of others down there. And it depends also on the demographic as well. Everybody's heard buzz about TikTok for the younger folks. Well, it's starting to rise there too. Before I go through some Ayanta resources, just some stats. Jacqueline, our social media person, was kind enough to share a couple stats with me in regard to social media. And the main thing is just share. On social media, when you have video and audio on there, just share it across all platforms. So that kind of goes back to, again, the website. I always believe in an integrated approach. So if you have it on your website, put it on YouTube and just share it across all your platforms. And think about your audience. Who is your audience? Think about the age and the demographic. Like I had mentioned, with TikTok as a younger demographic. So if you have something that you're targeting that demographic, you'll want to maybe consider that. And now Facebook is a little bit older demographic now. Adults under 30 are more likely to use Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. Those ages to 18 to 29 say they use Facebook, but most of the Facebook ages 50 to 64. 73% of users are 50 to 64. So if you want to hit that demographic, Facebook's a good one for it. And also it reaches out to more diverse clientele too. You have about half of Hispanic, 52%, and Black Americans, 49%, say they use the platform, compared with smaller shares of white Americans who say the same. So it really kind of has a leveling field. You can hit a lot of broad range of people this way. So again, the social media is a great way to push that out. And just to kind of wrap things up for today too, Sherry's going to wrap it up, but I just wanted to kind of share a few Ayanta resources to consider. Again, this is our outreach team. Sherry's our leader. And then Gail, I work under Gail, and she's like my mentor. She's great. And Hannah and Lorraine, Gail Lewis is our research and outreach specialist. And we have a Lewis and Clark page on ayanta.org, which again, that's our organization site. And if you go to ayanta.org/Lewis and Clark, that's where you can find my tip sheet. I'll also put the link to the tip sheet and this page in the chat right after the presentation. And this has all the information about the Lewis and Clark project. If you have any questions, refer to this page, and then always feel free to reach out to me with any questions. We also offer a lot of free webinars similar to this. We're just have a wide range of webinars, and we have webinar archives on the ayanta.org site. So if you missed our past webinars, you can go there and view them. And this is our team, and thank you for Bianca for helping me out today several times. And there's, as I mentioned at the beginning of these presentations today, Ayanta is always coming up with new products and new services, and this is one of them. It's what's new in Indian country tourism, and this is the summer of 2021, say kind of edition. And Monica Pauling, our marketing director, she is spearheading this project, and it's pretty much brand new, hot off the presses or hot off the pixels. And it's, I think it's going to be really popular. So please visit this page as well. And that's it for me today. And I hope to see as many of you as I can out on the road with Sherry.
Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate all your experience and expert information on these websites and video, and we definitely appreciate that, and I think that would be helpful for everybody out there. So right now we want to take the time to hear from you. We want to know what you're working on, and you know how you're connecting with tourism and with other tribes in your area. I know one thing that we're always looking for is our itineraries that we can share, you know, as we're visiting other countries, other markets, and they're interested in coming to Indian country. We've often talked about this in our work in Nevada, is connecting the tribes through itineraries. And so we'd like to hear what you're doing. Okay. So you can go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like to talk, and let us know what you're working on.
Questions?
that Gail? Gail, what are you working on?
Well, actually, one of the things I thought we might mention is that there was a question about horse racing in Montana. I don't know the answer to your question, but we are having a horse racing webinar coming up on June 22nd, where we'll be talking about the excitement of Indian relay racing. And we have Calvin Ghostbear, who's president of the Horse Nations Indian Relay Council, going to talk to us about the sport of racing. And Jamie Howard, who is a horse breeder and owner, will talk about his part of that. And they'll have a special guest rider. I'm not sure who that's going to be yet, but they will have a rider talk about what it's like to be in the races. So we hope everyone can join us for that.
Thanks, Gail. Anybody else out there that wants to share?
Jeremy, I know you signed in. Would you be willing to tell us what's going on at Hopi?
Yes, good morning. My name is Jeremy King. I'm tuning in from Hopi country. I work here at our local Hopi radio station, recently hired as their marketing coordinator. I come from the land of grant writing and working with another developers corporation, economic developers corporation. What we're doing right now, or what I'm doing right now, is I'm transitioning into a job. I'm training right now as their marketing coordinator. And I'm looking at using a brand new website or enhancing or working on our website. All the things that I've heard today here are some of the ideas that I've been tapping on, but it just reaffirms that I'm headed in the right direction as far as using media, social media, videos, etc. I really like the feeling of the coffee house, the Bison coffee thing. That kind of gives me a feel of where I need to go, telling a story, sharing it with the public, leading them into Hopi country in a comfortable manner that not only engages them in our culture, but also because we're a public radio station and we like to distribute information, we can use that option and the techniques and the things that you shared here today. We can implement that into our refining our programming for radio and airing. So I'm really glad that I joined in today. I'm really happy for that. I'm not too much into the jargon of marketing, but I'm learning. So yeah, one of the good things that I like is that I'm able to understand what steps I can take and how to use this information to the best of my ability that will not only develop a good platform, a beginning platform for me, but will also get me to relay a message to not only my supervisor, but the foundation that I work for, that we need, we have some work ahead of us. Coming out of COVID-19, the Hopi tribe is now reopening and people coming onto the reservation, and how to handle that in a very sincere and a very, I guess a friendly manner is going to take a whole new fashion and form. We have to take that on and take that into consideration too, but still make them feel at home. So the information that I gathered here is very, very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Rilda, you're from Red Cloud Indian School. We're so glad that you're a part of the audience. Would you be willing to say a few words about the school? Did we lose Rilda?
I think
Okay, how about Lola from Blackfeet, Tourism, Parks, and Recreation?
She might be on mute, Gail.
Yeah.
Well, Andrea Taylor from Stiletts, would you be willing to say a few words?
Hi there. Thank you guys for letting me sit in on your thing, on your conference. My computer, laptop, my camera broke somehow, so I don't actually can't actually tune in that way. But I have this great picture where I cropped my family out. So I am here. We've been starting to get into more tourism stuff with the Sluts Tribe. Working with Travel Oregon. I'm going to the Travel Oregon conference next week as well, and the stakeholders. I'm hoping that a couple of Travel Council and some other coworkers of mine are also going. I don't know. I'm kind of just like somehow became the top of the pyramid of our group within the tribe. And I'm just trying to learn more about it and trying to see how we can keep promoting people to come to our powwows and our Indian fair, and check out our recreational grounds, as well as we have our culture camp every year. Well, not this year and last year, but all these items that we do where we generally try to invite the public or invite people. So we're hoping to just bring that word out, and then also bring more to our STAHs. It's our Sluts Tribal Arts and Heritage group. They are trying to build a museum to display our artwork and old regalia and basket caps. So that's also something I'm trying to, pull some influence from.
Oh, thank you. We recently talked with your chairwoman about working more closely to help you with the tourism promotion of your assets. We also wanted to note that your tribe, even though you're not actually on the Lewis and Clark Trail, many of the tribes that were along the Columbia River were moved to your reservation. So we do include you in the Lewis and Clark project.
Oh, that's awesome. I have only walked a small part of that trail, but that's it was in Eastern Oregon, and I remember seeing it the first time as a kid. I was not raised as a Native American. I mean, I am, but I grew up in this, southeastern border of Idaho and Oregon. It just wasn't culturally there, and so we just didn't learn it growing up. And I remember seeing part of the Lookout Trail one time when we were camping, and I was like, "What's that?" And so we walked a little bit of it, but that's the extent of, like, when my mom was like, "Oh, that's part of the trail," and she told us all about it, and I was like, "What?" So that's kind of how I kind of started growing a little more into my culture, and then I moved to Siletz, to the reservation, and I've been here since.
That's wonderful. So Leah Pinkham, we had a meeting with you recently about your campgrounds. Would you be willing to say a few words?
Good morning, everyone. Sorry that I'm working on my phone. So I have to borrow an office, so I have a little bit more privacy. What was the question again?
Oh, just If you could tell us a little bit about your campgrounds and what you're working on.
A little bit about my campground. I think we are one of the only places that has a campground owned by tribes. And it's been there over 45 years, I do believe. And recently helped out a lot. Some people have come back from their kids and with the toilets, which we got through and some help through the tribe. Last year we did very successful with just because we were so big, a better campground. So people that hadn't been there in a while had come back and with our upgrades. We have a caretaker that takes care of the campground May through September, and this year we've got like 3 or 4 years that have been really helpful in managing events all the time, which will thought we saw some of the revenue that some people pay, but they can out.
Thank you, Leo. We had a little difficulty with the sound, but wish you luck on your campgrounds. Mary, Liberty, would you be willing to say a little bit about your work with the Umatilla?
She's also physically present here.
You're both.
Yeah, I can't speak because my computer's logged in, but I don't have my computer with me.
They can.
I think they can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear okay?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have a ton to share about tourism. For us, it's ongoing. And right now we're really just trying to market the fact that we've purchased Hamley & Company and how the CTUIR is tied in with that story. So we're going to be pushing that very soon about, just trying to let people know how the CTUIR is part of Hamley & Co. history and how important it is that the CTUIR chose to purchase Hamley & Co. and keep it under local ownership and keep it as a brand in Eastern Oregon and not letting it fail, which is important because the Hamley & Company is really the anchor of downtown Pendleton. It's been there since 1905. We're still in the same building that Hamley's went into originally. So it's quite an icon of Pendleton and something that we're really proud of. So that's a big part of what we're trying to push out to tourists right now.
Thank you, Mary. Kate, I know you're not along the trail, but would you be willing to talk to us a little bit about what's going on in your country?
Gail, are you asking Kate Anderson from Agua Caliente?
Oh, I'm sorry. I get my tribes mixed up. Yes, Kate from Agua Caliente. Maybe she stepped away. Do we have anyone else who, oh, go ahead. I see one of our Ayanta members who's been a member for a long time is on. Detlef, would you be willing to say something about your publication? I know you work mostly with the German audience who are very interested in tribal tourism.
Hi, Gail, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Yeah, I can say about the German market, they're very eager to get back on the road and do some travel. I guess everybody is waiting for the borders to open. At the moment, nobody has an idea when that might happen. I understand that US and Canada want to open the borders together for Europe, so this may be a while. Yeah, that's pretty much all the update I have from the German market. Oh, before I forget, Brand USA has decided on 4 phase 1 recovery markets they want to target first, and those are Canada, Mexico, UK, and Germany. So,
good.
That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Detlef. Becca Berta from High Desert Museum. I know you've got a pretty large native collection. Would you be willing to say something?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Honored to be here taking part in this. I think right now we do have a permanent exhibit called By Hand Through Memory that has a very robust Native American collection, many objects. We're really, I think, looking right now as we're reopening our doors to visitors, listening to what the needs of our partners in Warm Springs are, finding ways that we can take our visitors who have a great interest in our in that Native American collection, how we can guide them up to the museum at Warm Springs. So I think that's one reason why I'm really here today, is to find out what our partners' needs are and ways that we can help drive some of that focus north of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Becca. Tyrone from Chinle Chapter Government over there at Canyon de Chelly National Monument. Would you be willing to say something?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. For me, I work with the Chinle Chapter Governments. We are a local tribal government entity. One of the things that we're working on, given that we do have the Canyon de Chelly National Monument right in our backyard, is we're developing a vendor village project. So the intent there is to have a place for all the local artisans and sell their wares. And then we also want to do the same location for our tour guide operators to take our visitors into the canyon for their sightseeing and cultural information endeavors. Right now, we are trying to work with the National Park Service in developing this particular project. We have withdrawn the land, and we are looking forward to doing some design and engineering, and then from there move into the actual construction of the building. You know, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Chinle or Canyon de Chelly, that particular area, but going into the Canyon de Chelly area, there's the Holiday Inn, and then there's the National Park Service Welcome Center. So we're looking to build the vendor village project is right between the two areas. So as the local tribal government, that's one of the projects that we're doing for our local businesses, small businesses, our local artisans, is to get them in a centralized location and have that available. So it'll be a one-stop shop for all of our tourists that come into the area. Canyon de Chelly National Monument pre-pandemic was drawing million visitors for the year. So we definitely miss that, given that we're still in lockdown status on the Navajo Nation. Nothing's been lifted in terms of national parks by the Navajo Nation. So we're still feeling the effects business-wise, our business entities, our hotels. So but we're looking forward to when it comes time to open up, to welcome everybody back to Chinle, the heart of the Navajo Nation. So thank you for sharing all your information to everybody. Definitely, we are needing a lot of more information, and I do thank you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to say a few words? How about you, Will? Benny?
Hi, I was the editor of the Confederated Umatilla Journal here on the Umatilla Reservation for 24 years. I retired in December, but I started freelancing for a couple outfits, underscore.news and columbiainsight.org. I've also been talking with Joe, can't say his name, Boomgard, from Native Business News. I think he's in Seattle, about writing some freelance stories. And I'm looking at the potential of writing something about this group. I'm kind of interested in the geotourism as a potential story, but it may develop into something else. So that's why I'm on Anton Menthorn. Him and I have been having weekly conversations. I'm recording our talks, and I don't know, we've met 5 or 6 times, and we were supposed to meet today, but this was going on, so Anton and I are putting that off for a couple of weeks. I don't know where that project might be going, but Anton's a pretty interesting guy. But thanks for letting me into the meeting. It's been a lot of great information, and I've written down all your names as potential sources, so look for my phone calls. Thank you.
Wonderful, Will. Thank you so much. I agree with you. Anton's a pretty fascinating man.
He is.
Actually,
it looks like Kate's ready to make a comment.
Oh, good.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you for the great presentations today. I'm so excited that we're all re-engaging, and we're really ready to welcome people to Indian country with open arms. We're doing a lot of work here at the Agua Caliente Indian Reservation in Palm Springs, California. We are under construction again, thank goodness, for our beautiful new museum and cultural plaza. So we're looking forward to opening in 2022. We're a ways out. I had originally scheduled for 2020, but that was, of course, changed due to the circumstances. But we are looking at doing some really wonderful implementation to attract more cultural tourists. So we're even doing very small things, like, for example, when they visit our Indian lands, our ancestral lands, we're working on developing stamps that will go into their national parks stamp books. We're looking at producing virtual postcards that people can send when they're visiting our lands to other people. So we're looking at new and more interactive, exciting ways to engage with our guests so that we can continue the momentum before they arrive, during their visit, and once they leave. So not only are we hoping that they'll come to our cultural plaza when it opens, but looking at ways to further engage with them now with the ancestral lands that we have open to them now, and many other opportunities with some of our commercial businesses, such as our casinos and our golf course and our restaurants. So we're just looking forward to partnering with you all. Thanks for all the great ideas today. And we're always happy to engage and share in any way we can. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, Kate.
Okay, some of you I don't know, so I'm going to just call on you and see if you have anything you'd like to comment on. So,
Good job, Gail.
Presley West, could you tell us where you're from and what's going on?
Hi, I'm Presley. I'm in AmeriCorps Vista at the Alaska Native Heritage Center. We've been doing a lot of exciting work with cultural tourism this summer, and one of our favorite things I do here working on social media is share a word of the week. So we're trying to share Native language through videos online and through all of our social media channels. It's great to see and hear everyone.
Thank you, Presley. Jen Tate, are you available? Okay, we'll move on. Reginald Rourke. I guess we have some shy people. Hannah Engdahl, are you willing to say something about where you're from?
Sorry, I'm on mute. I have been on mute. Sitting behind you, and I can see her, is the head of our powwow committee, Chris Dillahay, and we feel very fortunate that she is actually on site and taking all this in. We have been texting back and forth during this conversation, and she is getting very inspired and would like to see us develop a kind of a mini video that we can place in our new hotel that's being built, and we are just now in the design process. And so I sent her a text, let's do it. As mentioned, I'm Tana Engdahl. I'm the spiritual leader of the Cowlitz tribe, and anything that comes with the Cowlitz name, brand, or identification, I'm usually involved in. But our younger members have the energy, and Chris has an amazing inner resource that is certainly helping our powwow develop and expand. She's at many events selling powwow goods to raise money for our powwow, and eventually when we do get to come back, we hope to this year, we know it'll be amazing because of Chris and her team have just taken off like a rocket. We expect a lot of our younger people to do similar in different venues. So I'm here to encourage her and to marvel that she made the trip all the way over there and is still awake. I can see her. Very proud of her and what the Cowlitz people are undertaking. We are a fairly new tribe. By that I mean we fought 160 years for our recognition, which we finally obtained, I think, through our stubbornness and persistence, and of course our faith in the ancestors. But all that pent-up energy has been nuclear in our economic development, and we have brought into existence one of the major economic engines in Clark County here in the state of Washington. And we have a casino that is so powerful, it's known way beyond our borders, our state borders. And we have an amazing team. So with that, thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you, Gail.
Thank you. I heard that Sherry and Bruce had a great visit with your tribal members. And of course, you're one of the important tribes along the Lewis and Clark Trail, so we definitely want to include you in. I see that Jen is on now. So Jen, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, I just want to
thank you guys for this opportunity and for this amazing just this amazing resource that you're bringing. It's really been all the links and all the websites and all the work that you've done. It's really amazing. I'm up here in the Methow Valley in close to the Canadian border in Eastern Washington, and pretty much right next to the Colva Reservation. And I just everything that you're doing here and what we're doing with Washington State Tourism and hoping to work together to advance tourism and cultural understanding and knowledge is just huge. It's amazing. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jen. Valley Sane, are you willing to say something? All right, we'll move on. Logan Hunt. Such a nice picture.
Gail, this is Lorraine, if you can hear me.
Yes.
I'm here. Hello, everyone. I would just like to introduce myself. My name is Lorraine Gala Lewis, and I'm a member of Laguna Pueblo. And a little bit about myself, I attended the Institute of American Indian Arts in high school and college, and I'm a College of Santa Fe graduate. My professional experience includes working in economic development as well as the nonprofit sector for the Small Business Administration, and also having worked with the Santa Fe Indian School for a number of years. I am a part of the Ayanta outreach team, and I've had a great opportunity of working with everybody here at Ayanta on this project, and it's just been a wonderful thing. We are traveling quite a bit, it looks like, with Bruce and Sherry. They're reporting back to us all of the great things that they've covered across the tribe. I am the outreach specialist, and I look forward to going on the road with them next week. We're going to be visiting the Colville tribe, Coeur d'Alene Casino, the Coeur d'Alene tribe, the Nez Perce, as well as the Salish and Kootenai tribes and the Blackfeet Nation. So I'm looking forward to being on board with them and meeting people throughout. So thank you, everyone, and I hope you all will be able to attend our marketing workshop, which is scheduled for Tuesday, June 15th. So looking forward to meeting everyone.
All right, I'll turn it back over to Sherry.
Great, thank you, everyone. We appreciate all the information and all the great work that you're doing out in Indian country. And as Lorraine said, we're looking forward to next week and going to Idaho and Montana. One thing that I wanted to mention before we leave today is America 250. And not many of us know about America 250 at this point. They are a congressionally appointed commission funded by the federal government, and they answer to Congress. They have a fundraising arm, America 250 Foundation, and their goals are to be the largest and most inclusive celebration and commemoration in our nation's history, with the potential to inspire the American spirit on our journey toward a more perfect union, engage nearly 350 million Americans and friends worldwide by 2026, spark production of more than 100,000 programs, attract billions of dollars in resources that will ripple through the economy to positive effect, and extend over a multi-year crescendo peaking in July 2026. So they've already started their planning. I participated on a panel last September, a tourism panel, and reminded them that they needed to include the tribes. They have in their charter that tribes should be included, but we haven't really seen any movement toward that. And that's concerning because in the bicentennial celebration, tribes were kind of an afterthought. They were brought in toward the end there and given some funding for these activities to commemorate the bicentennial. So we think this is a big opportunity for the tribes across the nation to share our history, because as we know, this country did not start 250 years ago. It started thousands of years ago with our people here. And so we want to be able to tell our stories in our voices and have acknowledgement that this land was Indian land in its entirety. And so we just wanted to bring your attention to that, ask questions about America 250 and how are the tribes being involved in that commemoration. We plan to continue to question and to make sure that tribes are included in this commemoration. So that's it for us today. I just want to thank Bruce. He did a wonderful job in his 3 presentations that he did today for you all. I also want to thank the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation for hosting us here today. Also, National Park Service, our partner, the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail, Travel Oregon, and the Washington Tourism Alliance. And a special thank you to Chairwoman Brigham. Again, thanks to the Wild Horse Casino Resort for hosting us as well. So thank you all for participating today. We will have another free marketing workshop next week while we're in Idaho and Montana. If you have any questions, please let us know. I believe Bruce has put his information in the chat, and you can also see our information here on this last slide. So take care, be safe out there. Thank you.